mute everybody. Good morning, Facebook. So please make sure that you have a blanket with you. And then take a good with your hands, turn your thighs in. And just for a moment, take the heels of the hands to the tops of the thighs. And in whatever position you're sitting, just push down for a moment so that there's a sense that the tops of the thighs drop down away from the front of the pelvis. So as you press the tops of the thigh bones down, just slightly lift the front of the pelvis, the pelvic crest, the bones on the front of the pelvis. Draw them up slightly toward the heart. Maintain that. Place the fingertips lightly on the ground and lengthen the sides of the torso, creating more space in the soft tissue between the rim of the pelvis and the bottom of the rib cage. Slightly move the top of the upper arm bones back. Take the head back a little bit, and then place the hands lightly up or down on the legs. I've had a lot of swirling thoughts this morning as I was considering our theme for the practice today, and I think what I've settled on, we'll see, is that in the face of such uncertainty, and I'm recognizing the uncertainty even just in very unusual weather patterns here, and I think in much of Canada, and in the current global situation, and as it continues to unfold, and with a lot of question and uncertainty around what the future looks like, I've been returning to the understanding that the yoga practice, all of the yogic practices, one of their core components is that they are preparation. They are training grounds, and they are specifically preparation for life, so that the time that we spend in our practices prepare us to meet all the uncertainty that life brings. And it doesn't mean that things like fear and doubt are not present. It just means that they're held in a context of, we're moving toward a context of ease, so that we can touch into a place within that is steady, nourishing, unimpacted, or at least less impacted by the ups and downs of daily life. And so I think it's significant to recognize and remember that at various moments as we come to our practice, and to know that all the ways that we interact with ourselves and how we train ourselves to pay attention and to be present while we're on the mat and doing the various asanas is ultimately preparation for our capacity to feel into the experiences that we meet off the mat, to be able to be present and connected to ourselves and to the experience in each moment as it unfolds. So with that in mind, with the remembering that this is our training grounds for life, close your eyes. Close your eyes begins the process of drawing our attention toward the inner world. So as we no longer have the visual field to record, the eyes and the part of the brain that record the visual stimulus can look more toward the subtle internal world. Draw the rest of the senses inward with the eyes so that the ears turn toward the inner world. Our sense of smell and taste. Withdraw a little bit from the external world. And our sense of touch refocuses toward the touch inside the body. Notice the movement of the breath. And in particular, so the senses are graduated, and the most internal sense is the sense of sound, and then the sense of touch, and then the sense of sight. So those in particular pull in so that you listen to the sound of the breath as it moves inside the body, so that you feel the breath within, and you watch the movement of the breath as it shifts within the torso. And recognize and remember that the capacity to hold our senses inward, to keep part of our attention directed down and in toward our center, ultimately. Meaning that this practice provides. So each time, as we sit for a couple more moments, each time you notice that the senses and the mind, which in the yogic world is considered a sense, when those senses drift away, move out of the body, out of the breath, out of this moment, train yourself to gently draw them back and hold them within, with the intention of increasing that capacity more and more and more. And then with your next exhalation, join your hands together at your heart. Touch the thumbs against the center of the chest, finding the midpoint between the base of the pelvis and the spot about a foot above the crown of the head. And resting the thumbs against the chest in a representation of that midpoint. For a moment, pull your attention into that center point in the middle of the torso, between the base of the pelvis and a place about a foot above the crown of the head, the outer body. And then from there, we'll chant Om 3 times. Take a full breath in. And then gently bow your head to your heart. Release your hands, lift your head, and then come and lie on your back for a moment. We're gonna do supported bridge pose. Sorry, unsupported bridge pose. So lying down, bend your knees, place your feet on the ground. Take the heels out a little bit so that the outer edges of the feet are parallel and your middle toes point forward. Take the arms to the sides and you can hold on to the edges of the mat with your hands. Push lightly down into the heels. Curve the lower back away from the ground and also curve the back of the neck slightly so that the face is parallel to the sky. And then pushing a little more firmly into the heels, lift the hips up, scoop the tops of the shoulders underneath you, and holding onto the mat, turn the upper arms out. Then lift the hips a bit higher, keeping the knees pointing straight forward over the middle toes. Now, and you might not come up as high as is really possible, especially to start with. Turn the inner edges of the thighs down toward the ground and the outsides of the hips lift up. Lightly release the low belly down. And then firming the crease at the base of the buttocks. Lift up there. Pull your heels slightly toward your shoulders to fire the backs of the thighs. And now for the last few breaths here, again, draw especially the sense of sight, touch, and sound inward, so that even though the eyes are open, the gaze is toward the inner world. The touch, the sense of touch, is investigating the touch of the pose inside the body, and the ears are listening to the sound of the breath as it moves within the torso. For the last 2 or 3 breaths, release the muscles on the tops of the thighs. Hold with the outer hips, that crease at the base of the buttocks and the backs of the thighs. Inhale. Exhale slowly. Bring the hips down. Pause for a moment. And then roll over to your right side. And Padmasana next. So perhaps sit on a blanket, perhaps not. If you're not sitting on height, well, if you are sitting on height or not, position the feet further away from you to drop the knees down a little bit or a little closer into the body. We're actually going to stay here for a few minutes, so you want to find a position that works. Turn the thighs in manually with your hands and then place your hands at your sides. Significantly push the heels together. And as you push the heels together, slightly lift the undersides of the heels away from the ground so that the touch of the floor is really against the outside of the foot, just at the bottom of the baby toes. Reach the knees out so that you're lengthening from inner groin to inner knee. And then bring your senses in to the pelvis. Soften the center of the pelvis. Soften the space in the center of the heart. And soften the space at the base of the brain. Like in the center of the head, not at the base of the brain in the back, but under the brain. Kind of just above the eyebrow line or behind the eyes. Soften there. Continue to press the heels together. Reach out through the knees. And again, bring those, especially those more subtle senses, sight, touch, and hearing inward. Training yourself to stay connected to the internal world, even as we also take in the world around us with our eyes, with our sense of touch, and with our ears. One more breath. And then releasing the hands, hold the knees and come into a cross-legged position. So right knee inside, right shin inside, left shin outside. Lightly flex the feet and adjust so that the feet are more or less underneath the knees. And you can turn the left calf out, so you roll it away from you with your hands. Turn your thighs in. We'll do a side bend and then a twist. So take the right hand out beside your right hip. Inhale, stretch the left arm up and lengthen up along the left side of the torso. Then as you exhale, walk the right hand out. Push the left sitting bone and buttocks down. Lengthen from your left hip to your left fingertips. And breathe into the left side of the torso. See that space inside the body. Feel the movement of the breath there. And listen to the sound of the breath, connecting the senses deliberately to the inner world. And then inhale, come up. Exhale, that hand down. We'll twist from here, so take the right hand behind you, fingers pointing back. Hold the left knee with the right hand. Inhale, stretch up through the crown of the head. And as you exhale, twist the torso to the right. Weight the buttocks down. Push the right knee lightly out into the left hand. Lengthen the central column of the torso from the base of the pelvis to the crown of the head and beyond. And now as you exhale, twist the torso, turn the head and turn the gaze. So take the eyes around to the right as much as possible. But when they're around, draw them in to the head so that there's a softness in the eyes. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, change the legs. So now left shin in, right shin on the outside. Rotate the right calf out. Turn your thighs and then side bend. So left hand beside your left hip. Inhale the right arm up. Take the left hand out, walk it away from you and lean over to the left. Feel the touch of the buttocks against the ground. And weight the outside of the right hip down so that the right buttocks has almost as much weight as the left. Feel into the space from the pelvis on the right outer hip to the right armpit. Breathe into that space. And with the jaw soft, keep the ears turned and tuned inward to the internal sound of the breath. Inhale, come up. Exhale, right hand down, left hand behind you. Hold the left knee with the right hand. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist to the left. Press the left knee into the right hand. Lengthen especially the right side of the torso. So that's the intention of the side bend preceding this, is that we get length on the right side. And then as you exhale, twist the right side of the rib cage around to the left. Move the head back slightly. And then with your next exhalation, turn the head and turn the gaze. Look to the left, especially with your right eye. But draw the right eye into the body so that there's a softness in your gaze and you're not hard in how you're taking in the external world. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale. Extended child's pose just as a marking for downward facing dog. Onto your heels, separate your knees a bit. Walk the hands forward. Separate the hands shoulder distance apart. And then come to your knees, tuck the toes under, and lift up. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Slightly bend the elbows and take the shoulder blades away from the ears. So you feel the shoulder blades move down the back. Weight the pads of the fingers into the earth. Push down into the base of the index fingers, the heels of the thumbs, the base of the pinky fingers, and the outer bottom corners of the palms. Turn the triceps toward the sides of the face. And now push the tops of the thigh bones back. And then remember bridge pose. And the outer hips and the buttocks that were holding the body in the bridge pose position. Use those muscles to draw the hips back away from the wrists. Toes. And touch the earth lightly with the tips of the toes. The tips of the toes are mapped to the senses. So as we touch lightly the tips of the toes to the earth, we tune into the senses and have them lightly touch what they're contacting. One more breath. Looking forward. Inhale. Walk the feet forward to the hands. Exhale, standing forward bend, Uttanasana. With the toes pointing straight forward. Lift the toes up, lightly spread them, and put them back down. Feel the weight across the balls of the feet and in the center of the heels. Bring your sitting bones over the center of the heels, and you can bend your knees a bit, especially for this first one. And Michelle, if you bend your knees a bit, sometimes that can help fire the muscles on the back of the thighs, so that even here there's tone. So with the knees bent, pull the feet in slightly toward each other. So the whole foot is trying to squeeze, the whole foot on each side is trying to squeeze into the midline.
Action on the outer hips. You feel the muscles on the outer hips engage. Lightly press the heels out. Fold the torso down. So that might sound like a paradox, and it is. Lots of the yoga instructions are. So more specifically, draw the balls of the feet toward each other and push the heels out apart. All at the same time. And working with those paradoxes with the mind and the senses is part of the preparatory work, the way that the asana practice prepares us to deal with the paradoxes in daily life. Bend the knees a bit, put the hands on the hips, lift the chin. Inhale, come up. Exhale, and step the feet perhaps a little closer together, Surya Namaskar A. Variations. So we'll do Shalabhasana work. And also we're going to do knees, chest, and chin to the ground as opposed to Chaturanga. So joining the hands together at the heart. Pause for a moment and soften the face and the organs of the senses that are held in the face. Move the head back a little bit so that there's an external looking, there's a gaze outward, but equally significant, there's a gaze inward. And then dropping the arms, turn the palms out, inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Join the hands, and as you exhale, touch the heart and bow over the legs. Put the hands on the shins or ankles or fingertips on the ground. Inhale, lengthen the front of the torso. Bend the knees, place the hands and step or hop lightly back into downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward into plank. As you exhale, drop your knees to the ground. Arch your back. Keep the shoulder blades away from your ears. Drop your chest and your chin. And then lift up a little bit, slide forward. Inhale, cobra pose. Oh, sorry. Lie all the way down. And then inhale, Shalabhasana. We're going to lift the head, chest, and the legs. So inhale, lift up. Keep the hands as they are and pull the hands toward the feet. Lift the tops of the thighs. Curl the heart forward and away from the ground. And then tucking the toes under. Exhale, downward facing dog. Couple of breaths here. Set the hands, feeling the earth and the contact with the ground through the pads of the fingers and around the outer circle of the palms. Rotate the triceps toward the head. Keep a little bend in the elbows and then use the muscles of the legs to take the hips back away from the wrists. Slightly soften the toes and lightly touch the ground with the tips of the toes. Look forward. Inhale, walk or lightly hop up to your hands. Look forward and then exhale, fold over the legs. Inhale, circle the arms out and up. Exhale, hands at the heart. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up. Palms together, exhale, touch forehead, heart, and earth. Inhale, lengthen the front of the torso, look forward. Exhale, step or lightly hop back. If you're stepping, use the opposite foot. Inhale, plank. Exhale, knees, chest, and chin to the ground. Slide forward, lie down. Inhale, Shalabhasana. Lift the head, chest, and the legs. Pull the hands toward the feet to curl the heart forward. Lift the thighs, lift the heart. Exhale, downward facing dog. Breathe. Let gravity pull the hands into the earth and feel the space in the center of the hands, center of the palms, and the very center of the wrists. And pull that space through the center of the arm bones into the space of the heart. Draw the hips back. Feel into the very center of the pelvis. And then from your sitting bones, press down into your heels. Look forward. Inhale, walk or lightly hop up to your hands. Exhale, fold. Inhale, circle the arms out and come up. Exhale, hands at your heart. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lengthen the front of the torso. Exhale, step or hop, Adho Mukha Svanasana, dog pose. Inhale, plank. Exhale, knees, chest and chin, slide forward. Inhale, curl. Head and chest and legs up. Exhale, downward facing dog. Breathe. Use the breath to draw the eyes inward, so you watch the breath move inside the body. Feel the touch of the breath in the torso. And listen to the sound of the breath. Look forward, inhale, walk or hop. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come up. Exhale, hands at the heart. 2 more. Inhale, circle the arms. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Inhale, plank. Exhale, knees, chest and chin. Slide forward, lie down. Inhale, everything up, Shalabhasana. Pull the hands toward the feet, reach back through your feet. And curl the heart forward. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Keep a little bend in the elbows. Turn the triceps toward the sides of the face. Pull the hips back and notice tension. Specifically unnecessary tension. And specifically unnecessary tension in the sense organs. So in the inner ears, in the eyes and behind the eyes, in the way that the skin contacts the muscles and the bones, at the edge of the nostrils, and in the lips and the tongue. Look forward, inhale, walk or hop to your hands. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale. Last one. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Inhale, plank. Exhale, Ashtanasana, knees, chest and chin. Inhale, lie down. And then lift the head, chest, and the legs up, Shalabhasana. Pause here, curl up really well, and then exhale, just lie down. Turn the thighs in, keep the hands as they are. Bend the knees, flex the feet. So it's like you're gonna do a upside down bridge pose. So the knees are bent and the feet are the heels are just over the knees, so you're not drawing the heels toward the hips yet. Engage the muscles of the buttocks, scoop up the low belly, and now as you inhale, lift the head, chest, and the knees. Pull your hands toward your feet. Draw the center of the heart forward, lift the heels up toward the sky. Exhale, lie down. Inhale, prop yourself up. So, Ekapada Bekasana, a thigh stretch, supine thigh stretch. So take your left forearm across in front of the chest. Bend the right knee. So option one, you catch the outside edge of the foot with your hand. And if your lower back is protesting this position, then release your head down and rest your forehead on your left forearm. Option two is you take the hand to the inside of the foot and then swivel the hand so that the V between the first finger and the thumb is across the base of the toes. Wherever you are, make sure your elbow points straight up. Draw the right knee a little bit toward the left. So if your lower back has discomfort here, scoop up the low belly and firm the muscles of the buttocks. But if you do not have discomfort in the lower back, release the buttock muscles. Lengthen from your right hip to your right knee and draw your right heel in and down, perhaps toward the earth. Inhale, exhale, very gently release. Change forearms. So bring your right forearm across in front of the body. Bend your left knee. Take your left hand as you did on the first side. So inside or outside. And then bending the elbow up. Draw the left heel down. So part one is left heel to the buttocks. Part two is to the outside of the hip. Again, possibly engage the low belly and the buttocks muscles to create a little bit more length and space in the lower back. Perhaps release those muscles and see if that gives you a little more capacity to draw the heel down. One more breath. Very carefully release that leg. Come down, place the hands under the shoulders, tuck the toes, downward facing dog. Take a couple of breaths here. Feeling into the hands and the feet and the way that the pads of the fingers and the pads of the toes make light and specific contact with the ground. Pull the hips back. Look forward, inhale, walk or lightly hop. Look forward, exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, hands at your heart. Pause for a moment, just with your arms at your sides. Feel into the contact of the feet and the earth. And feel the lift in the center of the arches of the feet. Feel into the hands. And feel the softness in the center of the palms. Take the head back and keeping the eyes open, let the external world come into you so that the eyes stay interior to the world, inside you. And you're looking within as well as taking in what's in your visual field. Soften the skin across the face, soften the inner ears, and hold yourself present, practicing, preparing, training for the capacity to be present even as the stimulus in the external world pull our attention outward. And now turn and face the long edge of the mat. We'll do a couple of standing poses, but
put together. So we're using them more as warm-ups and integration poses than kind of working on the detail of each of the standing poses today. So inhale, step your feet really wide apart. Turn your left foot slightly in, rotate your right leg and foot out. Virabhadrasana 2, inhale the arms to the sides. Rotate the whole arm so that the palms turn up, and keeping the lift in the chest, turn only the hands down. Inhale here, exhale, push into your left heel, bend your front knee and point your front knee straight over your middle toes. Sit the torso down in between the legs. Push your heels down, or even let them give in to gravity. Make sure your front knee points toward your third toe. And now as you hug the outer edge of the right hip in against the bones of the pelvis, lengthen from the inner groin to the inner knee. Push into your left heel. Turn your head and look out past your right fingertips. Inhale here, and now as you exhale, reach out. You can put your forearm on your thigh, stretch your left arm up. You can take the hand to the inside of the foot, or if it's available to you, to the outside of the foot. Wherever you are, twist the center of the heart up, turn the top arm, and then lower it over your ear, palm down. Take your head back, lift the chin slightly, and look toward your left thumb. Spin the heart to the left. Push into your heels. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, turn the feet. Lower the arms. Change sides. So turn the right foot in. Rotate the left leg and foot out. Inhale. Stretch the arms to the sides. Turn the whole arm so that the palms face up, and then take just the hands down. Exhale. Bend your left knee deeply. Sit the torso down in between the legs. In the mythology and the archetypes of the pose, this is the warrior in basic training. So here, it really recognizes and symbolizes the aspect of the practice that is the training grounds and the preparation for life. One more breath here. And then lift up a little bit, take extended side angle, whatever version of that pose you did on the first side. Twist the center of the heart to the right, keeping your left knee over the middle toes of your left foot. Turn the arm, lower it over the ear, palm down. And then lengthen along the right side of the body. Take the head back a little bit, look toward your thumb. Breathe. In the face of effort, soften, especially the senses. So the face is receptive, and you're present in the experience of the sensory recording of what's happening. Push into your heels, inhale, come up. Exhale, turn the feet, keep the feet wide apart. Line up the toes, standing spread leg forward, bend. Inhale, hands to your hips, curl the heart up. Exhale, hinge from the tops of the legs, place the fingertips on the ground. Make sure your heels are as wide as the baby toes from your thighs. Walk your hands out. So your arms and your torso are a little more reminiscent of downward facing dog. Keep the sitting bones over the heels. Firm the thighs. Scoop up the low belly and tilt the sitting bones just slightly toward the heels. Keeping the length in the torso, walk your hands back. Take your hands wide apart so your hands are more or less in line with your feet. And if it's possible, wrap your first two fingers
and your thumbs around your big toes. Fold the torso down in between the legs and reach the crown of the head toward the earth. Let the crown of the head rest down if it can touch, or it's pointing toward the earth if it's not yet touching. Bend the elbows to the sides and lift the shoulder blades away from the ears. One more breath here. Inhale, lift the head and chest. Take the hands under the shoulders. Heel toe your feet in once or twice. Oh, sorry, no, step your feet all the way together right in the middle of the mat. Touch the big toes. Sink your hips down low, Utkatasana. Inhale the arms up alongside the ears. Squeeze the legs. Sink the weight back into the heels. And as you squeeze the legs together, squeeze the outer calves and the outer hips. At the same time, drop the inner thighs toward the ground. So it's very similar to the work we did in bridge pose at the beginning of the practice. Lift the chest, lift the chin, look up. Push into your heels, inhale, rise up. Exhale, arms down. Warrior one. Inhale, big step apart with your feet. Put your hands on your hips. Spin your left foot in 60 degrees. Rotate your right leg and foot out. Turn to face the short edge of the mat. Inhale, release the arms, turn the palms, and stretch the arms overhead. Kali Mudra, interlace the fingers. Point the first finger up and cross your thumbs. From here, push into your back heel. Bend your front knee, and just like in Warrior Two, sit down in between your legs. Make sure your front knee points forward over your middle toes. Plant both heels. Engage the muscles right at the crease of the buttocks on both legs. Spin the outside of your left hip and your left ribs forward. Lift the center of the heart up. Take the head back a little bit. Look toward your thumbs. Now, keeping the torso like this, lower your hands back down to your hips. Spin over onto the ball of the back foot, so your back heel lifts, and then cross your left elbow over your right knee. Revolved side angle. Join the hands in prayer position, or reach the left fingertips to the ground and stretch the right arm up. Plant your front heel. Lift your back thigh. Hug your front hip in. And then pushing into both feet, inhale. Unwrap, come all the way back up. Feet on the ground, facing forward. Hands to your hips. Second side. Right foot in 60 degrees. Left leg and foot out. So because we know what's coming, we start to anticipate. So instead, soften. And as we soften the muscles of the face, we also soften the mind's tendency to rush into very hard thought patterns. So in the same way that the face is soft, the thoughts are soft. Meaning we're paying much less attention to their content. So, facing the left foot, release the hands, inhale, arms overhead, change the interlacing of the fingers, lift up. And then exhale, bend your left knee, sit down in between the feet. Between the feet, between the legs. Swivel the right side of the torso more forward. Anchor yourself by pressing the heels down and firming the buttocks right around the crease at the bottom of the buttocks on both legs. Lengthen the torso, take the head back, look up. Keep the torso basically as it is, bring the head up, take the arms to the hips. Rotate onto the ball of the back foot. Taking the right hand to the outside of the left foot. Either hands in prayer position or right fingertips down, left arm up. Breathe. Keep your front knee pointing straight forward. Lift your back thigh. Practice meeting adversity with softness, if there's any sense of effort here. And then from here, downward facing dog. So unwrap, place your hands flat, the short edge of the mat, step all the way back, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Soften the joints of the elbows. Turn the points of the elbows toward the baby toes on the feet. Settle the hands and the feet down. Lengthen from the wrists to the pelvis. Soften the center of the pelvis, the center of the chest, and the center of the head. Couple more breaths. Pigeon prep. So take your right knee to the outside of your right wrist. Put your right foot in front of your left hip. Slide the left leg back and bring the left knee to the ground. Just for a moment, lift up slightly so that you can spin the outside of your left hip more down toward your right foot, and then release the toes. So, if this position is less available for you, meaning your hips are high off the ground, then you're considering, how do I press the knees away from each other? So the right knee kind of off on a 45-degree angle and the left knee back. And into the space that creates, let the pelvis settle evenly. So the left hip and the front of the left thigh come down as much, or it will often feel like even more than the right hip. If you are more available and you're touching the ground or close, squeeze the knees together so that there's a little tone and a sense of stability in the musculature around the hips. You can walk the hands a little more forward, but stay slightly upright here. 2 more breaths. Tuck the back toes under. Walk your back knee in for a moment and then lift up and step all the way back, downward facing dog. And then the other side. So left knee to the outside of the left wrist, left foot in front of your right hip. As you put the right knee down, walk the knee back and swing the outside of your hip more toward the left heel. So you're working either pressing them apart or squeezing them a little bit together. Create a little tone in the low belly. Drop the shoulder blades. And soften the senses, the sense organs of the face. So for some of us, if there's less physically going on in this position, there's more of a tendency for the mind to wander. And we're practicing holding the mind into the experience, exploring with curiosity and enthusiasm the subtle layers of sensory experience in the body. Tuck the back toes under. Move the back knee in a little bit. Lift up. Step back. Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Inhale here. Exhale. Drop your knees to the ground. Turn and lie down on your back. So here you can have a blanket for behind your head. And if you have tension in the neck or the tops of the shoulders, then do put a blanket behind the head Then cross the right ankle on the left thigh, pause here. So you might need to flex the foot a little bit. If there's discomfort in the knee, sometimes that can alleviate it. More significantly, make sure that the inner ankle area is free of wrinkles. So from the bottom of the ankle bone to the heel, that area is soft and open. One of my teachers described that as like there's a full moon there. So it's round and even, like the way we see the full moon in the sky. Keep the weight even across both sides of the pelvis. Curve the lower back a little bit. Now walk the left foot over to the right, and you'll adjust the right foot a little bit. So now your left foot is more or less in front of your right, the right side of your torso. And then flexing the left foot, come to the outside edge of the left foot, and open the knees away from you and down toward the ground. You want to keep the weight even on both sides of the pelvis. Release the front of the groins, so where the torso and the legs meet. Soften there. You'll have a curve in the lower back. If that's uncomfortable, come up a little bit. Lengthen the buttocks away from the lower back, and then place the hips back down and re-enter the pose. Keep extending the right knee away from you and down. 2 more breaths. And then lift the knees up, walk the left foot over in front of the left hip, uncross the right leg, pause. In the pause, release any accumulated tension as best you can. So that's also a big part of how we train ourselves for life. We release unnecessary tension when the stressors have released. So now cross the left ankle on the right thigh. Maybe flex the foot a little bit, definitely smooth out the inner ankle. Keep the weight even as best you can across the back of the pelvis and a little curve in the lower back. Now walk the right foot over to the left. Come to the outside edge of the foot. It's really very much like how you were positioned in Padmasana at the beginning. So the right heel is lifted and you're really on the outer edge of the foot, right under the baby toe. Then from there, extend the knees out away from you and let them into gravity as best they can. Practice meeting sensation with soft senses. So if the face hardens or there's an internal tightening, which is a very natural response, especially when we overdo, then ease off a little bit. Readjust toward lessening sensation. And then as sensation lessens, move deeper. Last couple of breaths. And then inhale, lift for a moment. You can pause, just let the knees tip together. Turn the gaze slightly down. Soften the eyes. Soften the jaw. Softening the jaw is another way to say release the inner ears and turn the sense of hearing inward. And now roll all the way over to your right side. Sit up. So half Padmasana, half fire log position. Some of us will move toward full fire log position, highly unnecessary but possible. So bend your right knee, cross your right ankle at the bottom of your left thigh. And same idea, you can maybe flex the foot a little bit, but more specifically, make sure that the inner ankle is soft. Take the hands several inches behind you, wider than your shoulders, and bend the elbows a little bit, making sure that the points of the elbows are straight back as opposed to in toward each other. Lift the center of the heart. Bend the left leg some amount. You adjust how much bend in your left leg is available in your right hip. So possibly walk it in relatively close. Keep both sides of the pelvis, sitting bones, buttocks evenly weighted. So we'll tend to roll to the right for most of us, so keep the left hip heavy. If you're relatively close in, then from there you can come up onto the knuckles at the base of the fingers, descend the shoulder blades, and move your chest toward your shin. Soften the face. Keeping the eyes open. Let the gaze, let the objects that you see come to you through the gaze. So the gaze is held interior to the world around. One more breath. Lean back a little bit. Extend the left leg straight, uncross the right. Oh yeah, we were gonna do the full pose. Next time. Take the left leg across the right. Hands behind you. Bend the elbows a little bit. Lift the heart. Walk the right foot in, bending the right knee. Keep the weight even across the back of the pelvis. Make sure your right foot is lined up with your right sitting bone. And as you press your right heel down, keep the right sitting bone heavy. Curl the heart up. And if the foot is in quite close to the hip and your shin is relatively close to the chest, then use your arms to bring your chest toward your shin. Make sure that that's not adding tension in the tops of the shoulders or in the face. Couple more breaths. And then lean back a little bit. Stretch the right leg straight, uncross the left. So if the full pose, which is that's the shins stacked one on top of the other, is not so comfortable in your body, then you have a couple of options. One is you could repeat what we just did, so the half position, or you could do a simple cross-legged position. We're not going to fold forward quite yet. So if you're starting with the half version, then right leg on top of left, bend the left leg. And then just like what we did lying down, you're gonna walk your left foot over in front of your right hip. Let the right leg adjust itself
more or less, and come down so that the shins are stacked. So your right foot is more or less over your knee, and your left foot is underneath the right knee. If that simple cross-legged position doesn't feel like it's enough, you can put the foot more at the calf, and that is potentially a more doable option. Wherever you are, take the fingertips again lightly behind you. As you push down with the fingertips, lift the center of the heart up. Curve the lower back a little bit more, and now extend the knees, especially the right knee, out away from you. Let down happen, but you think out. Two more breaths. And then lean back a little bit, lift the knees up, uncross, stretch both legs out straight. Change sides. So bend the left leg, cross the left ankle on the right thigh, or if you're sitting in the simple cross-legged position, Sukhasana, change the order of the bend the right leg, maybe stay here, maybe put the right foot over in front of the left, so your shins now one on top of the other, and the feet are in relationship with the knees. So the left foot on top of the right knee, right foot underneath the left knee. Again, if that's not working for your body, one option might be to put the left foot on the center of the right calf. So, shins stacked, fingertips behind you. Wherever you are, lift the center of the heart and extend the knees away from you. That includes if you're in Sukhasana, simple cross-legged position. Make sure that the ankle on the top foot is free of wrinkles. Specifically soften the face and move toward sensation. And one of the ways that we know that we're doing that successfully is the eyes are slightly turned down as opposed to up. When our eyes lift up, we're thinking about what's going on, which actually removes us from the experience. So we want to keep the gaze soft and slightly down to draw us in to the experience that we're having inside the body. Same when we meet experiences in daily life. Last breath. And then you can use your hands, pick up the legs. For a moment, stretch both legs out straight. If you had a blanket on your mat and it's still there, move it to the side. So we're gonna do a position next that is the preparation for Supta Padmasana 2. It's similar to pigeon, but it's not pigeon. So come into downward facing dog. Separate the hands, shoulder distance apart. Lightly press the hands down. Draw the hips back. So I'm going to talk us through this and hopefully it will work. So we don't do this pose all the time. So now step the right foot up between the hands and then walk it over in front of your left hand. Now you can drop your left knee to the ground. Flex your right foot. Come right to the baby toe side of the foot. So that's that same place right under the baby toe that we were in Baddha Konasana earlier in the practice. Lift the heel up a little bit. Now keeping your left hip down toward the ground and the outside of the left hip rolling toward the earth. Reach your right knee out away from you and down toward the floor. So your right knee is kind of somewhere near your right wrist. And you're in a wider than 90-degree angle between your shin and your thigh on the right leg.
breathe. Keep the front of the left thigh lengthening away from the hip and also dropping toward the ground. Now, we'll come out. So lift the back knee up, slide walk the right foot back, reposition your hands as needed. So if the hands are a little wider, that might be helpful. And then the second side. So start just stepping the left foot up like you're in a lunge. But then wiggle, walk it forward a bit more and over in front of your right hand. Drop your left knee to the ground. Flex the left foot. Come to the toe, so the heel is up a little bit. Lengthen the right thigh, even walk the right knee back more. Descend the front of the right thigh down and reach your left knee away from you and down toward the ground a bit. So you're supporting yourself a lot with the arms. Soften the jaw, the eyes. Couple more breaths. And then lifting the left knee up, lift the right knee up, step back. Adho Mukha Svanasana, position the hands shoulder distance apart. Micro bend the elbows. Turn the triceps toward the sides of the face. Strongly pull the hips back. And then exhale, bend the knees to the ground. Move the animals off your mat, if possible. And then taking the blanket again for your head, lie on your back. So lie on your back, bend your knees, place your feet on the ground. We'll do a little supine work toward Lotus. So, respect always your knees and your body. And remember that in the process of using or recognizing that the practice is preparation for life, we don't want to overdo and deplete ourselves or cause strain, unnecessary strain in the body. So with your knees bent, your feet on the ground. Option 1 is the number 4 position. So cross your right ankle on your left thigh. You could stay here. You could move your right foot kind of halfway down toward your right hip. So you're in sort of kind of halfway, half lotus position. Or you could take the right heel right into the groin. Wherever you are, lift the left knee up. So you can reach the hands somehow around to catch your left thigh or the front of your left shin. Most importantly, keep the weight even across the back of the pelvis. And make sure that you're not dumping weight into the lower back. As you draw the left knee toward the left hip. Guys, move. Soften the jaw and the eyes. One more breath. And then releasing the hands, put the left foot on the ground, uncross the right. And then change sides. So left ankle on right thigh. Option 1, stay there. Option 2, a little lower. Option 3, all the way down into the groin. Lift the right knee up. Hold somewhere on the right leg, so behind the thigh, around the front of the shin. Depending on your position, you might even hold around the leg, but work it out in the way that allows the front of the chest to stay relatively wide. Keep the weight across the back of the pelvis. And draw the left knee, the right knee toward the right shoulder.
Soften the sense organs of the face. Meet sensation and experience with as much softness and receptivity as possible, so that our practice is not adding tension to especially to the inner body and to the senses. Release the hands, put the right foot down, uncross the left. So now you'll have the option of just repeating what we did, or if half lotus, or if full lotus works for you, that's another option. Alternatively, you could extend the left leg straight and bend the right leg, putting the right foot at the top of the left thigh and holding it there with the left hand, and reaching the right knee away from you and down toward the ground. So if that feels like it's a good choice, that's an option. Or you can do the number 4 position again, or that midway point. So right leg somewhere on the left leg. If it's near the root of the thigh, the left thigh, lift the left knee in if you're going further. If the left knee is in, now turn the entire left leg at the hip so that the left knee points out. Bring your left foot toward your right leg. If you're touching or close, then you can use your hands to just step the left foot over the right shin. Padmasana. And here you have the choice of just staying here or holding the feet and reaching the knees away from you and down toward the ground. One more breath. If your knees are down, lift them up. Carefully uncross, lifting the left leg over the right shin. Release the right leg. Pause. And then the second side, so left leg in. If you're bringing the left leg all the way into the half lotus position, draw your left heel toward your left sitting bone, rotate the leg at the hip. Put the foot as high up as possible on the right thigh. Lift the right knee in. To continue, open the right knee out to the right. Put the right foot, draw the right foot toward the left leg, and if it's closer touching, then you have permission to hop it over. Again, possibly stay here, possibly hold the feet, extend the knees away from you and down. Matsyasana. Breathe. Soften the jaw and the eyes. So you're not fighting with yourself to achieve some idea of what you should be doing that takes you away from what is present and happening right now. Lift the knees up, uncross. Place the feet on the ground. Pause. Roll all the way over to your right side and sit up. Padmasana. So the seated straight leg forward bend. So if when you stretch the legs out straight, the lower back rounds and tips, rolls back toward the earth, then sit up on a blanket. And it might just be a good idea if your blanket's close by after the previous poses
This is really to release the backs of the knees and to alleviate compression and to necessarily do the biggest forward bend ever. So separate your feet a few inches apart. With your hands, turn your thighs in. The advantage of not using height is that you can press the backs of the knees more down toward the ground. So if you're not on height, as you turn the thighs in, keeping the heels on the ground, lightly press the backs of the knees down. Take a deep breath in, lift the chest up, and then hinging from the tops of the legs, walk the hands down the legs toward the feet. Pause. Find a place where you can be without a lot of tension or effort. And for a moment, as you stay there, soften the face. Specifically, draw the eyes in. And look at the body from the inside, even though the eyes are open. Feel the touch of the legs against the earth. Feel the touch of the pose on the body. Listen to the internal voice that's saying enough, or it's okay to go a little further. If you have permission to go a little further from the body, then bend the elbows to the sides, lift them slightly up, and pour the torso forward over the legs. Press the backs of the legs down, most important. Descend the shoulder blades, and instead of, again, thinking that this is the most extreme version of the forward bend, find a position that allows the body to settle into itself, into the pose, and for the mind to be present, attentive. A few more breaths. Walk the hands back in. Inhale, come up. Lie on your back. Shavasana. So take whatever you need to lie down with ease, comfort, joy. Place your legs several inches from your hips, several inches apart, sorry, definitely several inches from your hips. And let the legs and the feet roll open. Take the arms to the sides of the body and rotate the arms so that the palms face up. Or, if it works better, bend the elbows and place the palms lightly down on the torso. Close your eyes. Let the body settle. And as the body settles, feel the touch of the body against the ground. And lightly adjust in any way needed to create more symmetry in how each half of the body, each side of the body takes the weight of the body. Relax the belly.
spend some time with the sense organs. Soften the edges of the nostrils. Soften the lips and the tongue so that the tongue rests a little more, the root of the tongue rests a little more in the throat. Soften the eyes, draw them inward, and soften the backs of the eyes. Soften the skin over the entire, and especially the skin across the face. Release the hinge of the jaw. Soften the inner ears. And then practice staying inside the experience. Investigating increasingly more subtle layers of sensation in the body and in the breath. And gradually feel into the space in the very center of you, midway between the base of the pelvis and that space about a foot above the crown of the head, and centered front to back and side to side. And rest in the steady, unchanging center that is the heart of you. Softly deepen your breath. With the next breath in, bend the knees, place the feet on the floor, and feel the soles of the feet contact the earth. Stretch the right arm alongside the head as needed to support the head, and then roll completely to your right side and pause curled on your right side. And then pushing down with your left hand, bring yourself up. Come to sit. And sit for a moment with your eyes closed. So with the hands at the heart, take a moment to feel into again the center of you. And with the intention of staying connected to that center, and to continue the practice of being present with what is arising in the world of daily life, we'll close the formal practice with one Om. Take a breath in. Thank you. Namaste.